I'd like to ask Kalikidar whether you plan on continuing working on this research, like guns and style transfer.
So at the moment I'm occupied with some other things. But definitely deep generative models are an area of interest for me. So GAN models definitely, and I'm trying to look at diffusion models and LLMs as well. So that's why I mentioned that as one of the future directions that one can take from here, combining that with music domain. So yeah.
Okay.
Maybe one question from my side. It seems that there is quite a diversity from different libraries and attached research institutes on working on similar issues. Not the same, but we've seen like from the Bavarian State Library, from other libraries. Is there some collaboration happening here, like directly, or is it something that is kind of popping up from different sides and just happen to work on similar issues? Maybe to Alexander, if he's still there. Yeah, you're still here.
We are on the most part on our own currently. So we don't know of any other Germany-based research which are doing the same as we. We know that Young is doing something similar.
I'd like to try out the OMMR for 2024 version, certainly.
Yes.
I mean, I know from the Spanish groups that they also have been working at kind of OMR for mensural notation and Gregorian notation and black notation or whatever they're called. So there's some tools. So I think it's definitely interesting to also stay in touch here. Yeah, Janusz?
Just wanted to add from the perspective of our group that we have been very happy to tap into the resources of the Spanish researchers who have provided us with wonderful input from the development of MURED, which, as far as I understand it, has sprung from like the research conducted at Alicante at the group there that we have had so much of today. So that actually for us was very fruitful. Though we in this situation are of course more end users than contributors, but of course we are happy to pour our repertoire into the MURED model, which of course also benefits from other input, I think, from the Spanish National Library and other institutions. But yeah, that's what I can contribute from our perspective.
I think from my point of view, at least one thing maybe might be worth collaborating together is that I think if you use different approaches and different tools, that's great because diversity is kind of beneficial here. We try different approaches and see which one works better. But maybe if we have some of these data sets where we actually have the recognition, everything that this is being shared, and then you can use this data set to also train your specific system. I think this is something where, at least from a research perspective, we can all benefit from if these data sets then become available, and then you can maybe run the same data set through a different system and see how well it performs there to, have a friendly competition and also overall understand, okay, where are the strengths and weaknesses of all of those systems. Over pre-training, I mean, I know that I benefited massively from the availability of Muskema++ dataset when I started my research. And I believe that just the availability of datasets is such a strong incentive for researchers to pick it up, try something out, and see if they can improve it overall. And yeah, maybe also with these generative approaches, maybe we at one point have a system where I can just hit the button and just generate as much data as I want with whatever parameters and variations I want to see there. I think this is great that this is being worked on. Okay,
I feel like with the I don't know how about the guns and that kind of synthesis, but with my kind of like manual synthesis, it really helps with expanding the existing data sets. It's like the dream is to have a button, press it, and get infinite data, but the reality is that's not how it works. It's really you have a large model, you have a small data set, and if you just train it, it overfits. So you have to expand the data set with the synthesizer so that you can train the model without overfitting. And when Antonio talked about the curriculum learning with his sheet music transformer, that's the task that the synthesizer is the best for, I would say. Preparing toy data for the model to learn on so that it can then be fine-tuned on the real world data.
Yeah, I think one of the and I'm happy to see this appear more and more in the evaluation sections, is out-of-domain generalization. So we have a bunch of datasets available now. It's much better than it used to be. So now the question is becoming, okay, if I train on all of this, how well is it going to work on scores that don't really belong to any of these training collections? That's like the next boundary of like actual applicability. And I really appreciate the report from BSB on like how much data is actually needed to perform this adaptation, like in the existing tool. So how much do you need to annotate? How much this actually helps? What's the second round? This is like, I like the phrase actionable intelligence, and this is it. Like you can plan a budget based on a paper like this. Right, a little bit.
Thank you. That we really hope to make this more broadly available once we are actually done with all our training rounds, to really give a report on what diminishing returns or increasing returns we experienced over these various iterations. And as I said, we keeping score of that manually, but of course we are fallible. We also hope to collaborate with David Rizzo, who has the logs, and scrape these for actually seeing what the model sees.
Actually, I would love to collaborate on the retrieval side of things, also for modern notation. Do you still have SmartScore running available?
As far as I know, not. Since this our application for these for the corpora we included in the first round of the project is finished. I think the information basically is incorporated into an n-gram index that is run by that is stored on our servers, and I don't think that additional data is added.
So we can do it the other way around, because during next half a year, I think, we will have the capability to run our system also for your collections if you want, and we could run a comparison on that means we'd run a comparison on your corpus of SmartScore as a certain baseline versus whatever systems we implement, and see how it works for retrieval. If what's the point of getting higher and higher accuracies for this use case of retrieval within a library collection?
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. I guess the best thing is if we get in touch about that in the coming weeks too. Perfect. I'm glad to reach out. Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
I see that some colleagues have already left, therefore I would love to kind of slowly wrap it up. And before we leave, I have one more questionnaire that I will launch right now. I hope you see it now. There are a few questions. Feel free to skip whatever you don't want to answer, and also give us feedback a little bit here directly if there is something that you want to, especially the last question. I added it as a response to today's discussion, talking about forming a work group, having some way of staying in touch, communicating. We're also happy, like we've had this discussion about Slack in the past because you do not see messages anymore that are older than 90 days. I mean, there is one trick around. If you want to stay active, just write stuff in the canvas. That thing should remain visible. It's kind of a pinned thing that I believe will not be removed, but it's not the ideal solution, I would say. So I think right now there is quite a large number of people who actually are in the Slack community, which is 70 people. So just saying that you might be actually able to reach quite a few people if you post something there or if you try to get in touch there. And it's something that we can use for free. But as I said, I'm also happy to, if the community decides, if there is some interest on switching, we can also move to something like Discord.
Maybe on the tool you for Slack in your questionnaire, do you have a Slack with a paid version where you have the memory of the interaction or not?
Yeah. So the unfortunate thing is that Slack decided to monetize their product in a way that at least I don't see us being able to afford, because I think it's €100 per user per year or something like this, which if you have 70 people, I don't have €7,000 lying around just to keep this community there. I think Discord in that sense would be much more friendly, and it used to be also free with Slack, but
yeah, Discord has some other problems of owners of Discords and the problem of IP. They consider that everything you push in Discord is they can do what they want with what you push on Discord. I would rather prefer Mattermost if we can have a server. We have an instance in our lab, but I don't know how it is easy for outside of the lab to use it, but I could check.
Linz, the CEPA lab in Linz has been using Mattermost for years, and they are not terribly happy with it in terms of like user experience. But
it
maybe
looks very
it will
much
turn out to
like
be
Slack.
yeah, maybe it will turn out to be the best solution anyway.
We use it. It depends on what if it's just for some exchange chatting, and well, it's maybe it's not so shiny than Slack, but well, you can put quite a lot of images, links. But it's just a suggestion. I think that if we are, I really think that losing the interaction 3 months earlier, or don't have any history of what the exchange in the group, I think it's quite a pity. But
yeah.
I have a question that doesn't need answering right now, but if you're planning to attend some more WoRMS and think about it, would you be interested in an in-person WoRMS in Prague? I can organize one here on the cheap, but there is no point doing it if we are all happy with the online.
I think in person would be amazing. And I think the reason why we did it online this year was because Izmir is in San Francisco, and the traveling would have been a little bit too hard for most of the participants.
Next year is in Wuhan, I think. No, sorry, Seoul. Next year is in Seoul. IGDAR is in Wuhan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also not going to be easy to travel to.
Yeah.
But then it's in Vienna.
Then it's in Vienna, yeah.
Yeah.
Then okay. So I think Prague sounds amazing. I mean, Jan, you're already kind of half part of the organizing committee. If this is something that we can do next year, I personally prefer in-person
Yeah. Of course,
workshops.
we have the equipment to make it hybrid.
Yeah.
But of course, then it creates this kind of double tier experience, right? So it's not something I want to necessarily push for. It's just that the opportunity is there for me to organize it in 2025.
Actually, there is yeah. I just finished the thing. Is there anything there that, I mean, just looking at the results, it seems people are happy. There are some things that we can improve, and we're more than happy to incorporate this into next year. Maybe we'll discuss it later. Okay. So the results that have been given for the GitHub OMR research community, I will add all of those handles into the community. Feel free to create repositories. And if someone shows some initiative, I think right now, the easiest way to kickstart things are probably from Slack, because most people are there. And I think we did it 2 years ago or so that we had a survey trying to think about alternatives to Slack, but so far there was no real interest in that community efforts. However, if we do see some movement towards working groups that regularly meet, etc., I think it does make sense to think about whether we want to move to another platform or talk about this. And yeah, a few more words of what will happen next, because there was at least one more question. If you do not want your paper to appear in the proceedings, please let us know. This is an option that we always offer. And I will quickly share my screen for a second. So this will be the URL for the proceedings. And as soon as this will be, now you can see it. This will be the URL for the proceedings. You will just find it as every year on the website. We will also, again, split it and we'll upload it to archive for it to receive a DOI. So this is something we will make available. We will also edit all of the videos, upload them to YouTube. So far, I didn't hear anyone objecting, so we will upload all of them there to make them available. And yeah, these questions we've actually already mostly discussed here. If there's anyone else who would love to join us in organizing or taking ownership of one of these working groups, please reach out to the people. Please also reach out to us. We will definitely send at least one more email to everyone once the proceedings are available and the videos are uploaded, and we can include a call for such a workshop there. I think it would be a great idea, because then we would also reach all 60 participants and not just the 16 people who are left at this point. I think just reach out to us if you want to show the initiative and do this here.